Thank you. Let me take a look on that one. Oh, that's submarine testing. We haven't read this one. Let's give a quick overview. New stage of submarine testing will start soon with, like, this time a lot of feedback and statistics were collected on the basis of which changes have been made. Sure, whatever. Dive capacity. Submarines in reality are very complicated pieces of machinery, so when adding to the water warships, we want to reflect the natural limitations that go hand in hand with operating underwater. To do so, we're adding a parameter, dive capacity, which simulates the different systems and resources a submarine will need to rely on. Dive capacity will replace battery charge and will likewise limit a submarine's ability to remain underwater for long periods of time. That is pretty good, actually. Dive capacity is limited in time, roughly up to 10 minutes of activity per battle, depending on the sub's nation and tier. This parameter is depleted when a submarine is underwater and cannot be regenerated during battle. Considering that the average battle lasts for about 15 minutes, if a submarine spends the first 10 minutes of a battle underwater, it will be forced to play the remaining 5 minutes exclusively on the surface. While a submarine is detected underwater or a periscope depth, dive capacity will deplete faster. This is a way for ships with hydroacoustic search and surveillance radars to influence an enemy sub's action even without dealing with them. That is actually a pretty positive thing. I must say, this looks pretty good. I honestly think this is pretty good. The main concern was reaching end game with everyone being able to just completely all the servers being completely able to ignore everything and just do their thing and stay hidden. So it might not be like that. So I think that's pretty good. I like in this idea. This change will allow surface ships to counteract submarines even without dedicated anti-submarine weaponry, which is also pretty nice. Depth control, detectability, and view with unified several previously test mechanics and controls. Now, depth cannot be set freely within accuracy up to 1 meter, but instead, a depth has to be chosen from several options using the C and F keys. Moreover, periscope depth is back. It will allow a submarine to move stealthily and standard speed, but will deplete dive capacity. There is no longer a special consumable needed to submerge maximum depth. They are doing with submarines essentially what they did with carriers. They want you to understand something really crucial for you, and that is resource management. On a carrier, if you're not doing preservation runs, if you don't understand really how carriers work, despite the common myth of AA does nothing and planes are infinite, we all know that is bullshit. Any player, any person who has played consistently carriers will tell you that a carrier can indeed get absolutely the plane and be useless on late game. If you have played one yourself, you know that for true. If we get into the nitty gritty and balance about it should be depleted faster and stuff like that, yeah, well, that's a different story, okay? We can talk a lot about things about balance, but I think they're trying to do exactly the same thing with submarines. They're trying to add all these resource management, like, okay, I want to keep this diving capacity now and try to have a big impact early on, try to crush the early game, or I want to play on the long run and maybe survive and try to get something done by the very end of the game when I'm maybe gonna shine with less radars, hydro, and planes. So they're really trying to force you to understand how you want to approach this, how you're gonna manage your resources. I think that is actually pretty fun. I think that makes for good gameplay. I think that also makes balancing a little bit easier, because if you don't have something infinite that is easy to abuse, it's easier to tweak around this diving capacity bar, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. All looks okay to me. I don't know what this shit show is all about. Ethereal, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing, my man? Thank you so very much for joining us. I don't know, nothing here screams shit show for me either. I'm just reading, so let me finish the bottom of this. They will reserve the judgment for the test, but nothing here screams shit show to me. I agree, Tombar. I nothing that I've read so far screams shit show to me. So let's take a look. Depth controls have become easier and more intuitive, and different depths will have a distinct influence on gameplay. Of course, I mean, it makes sense. Here we go. Torpedo, sonar, and ping. Torpedoes and sonar ping. Subs efficiency will increase against maneuverable targets and will lower against ships with strong torpedo protection. Makes all the sense in the world. Submarine torpedoes have had their damage lowered, but their chance of incapacitating models have been increased. Torpedoes no longer ignore torpedo protection when there is an active effect from 2 sonar pings. Emitting a sonar ping becomes more convenient. The camera will now automatically follow the target when aiming the sonar, the same way it does when aiming guns with other ship types. Nice. Emitting a sonar ping temporarily increases a sub's detectability. Okay, counterplay. Counterplay. Hi, Raid Super Chat, how you doing? Counterplay, that's nice. Torpedo guidance towards ships marked with a sonar ping was improved. Okay. Now sonar pings mark both sides of a ship, and torpedoes don't lose guidance even if the target ship turns the marked side away. Okay, that's a bit tough, but I can understand why. A ship hit by a sonar ping will be able to see a marker, similar to the radio location skill, showing the direction from which the submarine pings came from. That is pretty nice. That's a lot of people who was complaining about, like, dude, I literally don't get any kind of feedback when I'm ping. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I like that, actually. I think it is pretty good. So at the very end of the day, there's a lot of things on these games that boil down to not having correct feedback of what the fuck is going on, all right? Sometimes you cannot see the things. When Deadeye was a thing, most people was like, we need a tooltip or something to know if Deadeye is active. The same goes for a lot of skill of a lot of other kind of things on the game. So I feel like Wargaming is taking this discipline now of trying to add a little bit extra layer of awareness so people understand what's going on. Like carriers now doing a strafing run before doing rockets, before dropping rockets, which I think it is good and positive, as long as it does no damage so far. So I think it's really good. The ping is essentially doing the same. More feedback will allow players to have a bit more of a reaction time to understand what's going on. If you see you're getting ping and you see what is coming from, you immediately will start maneuvering, getting behind cover, maybe offering a little bit of a thinner profile. A lot of things that you can do to counteract that. So if they give you the feedback, you can react to that. If they give you no feedback, you have no fucking clue what's going on. So I think that is actually a pretty positive change. I'm really glad to see that they're taking in consideration a lot of the things that the player base are saying. Again, I'm not gonna dick ride Wargaming because times and times and times again they have completely butchered the implementation of changes and new ships into the game. So I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, everything is fine, Submarines are gonna be okay, Wargaming is gonna get it done, because I really do not know. But so far, so good. Okay. Well, better start grinding. Translation: subs are more effective versus cruisers and DDs, which I really appreciate. I think it is nice. I think it is good that there is a class that again tries to focus on something else than just battleships. And the reason for this is battleships have historically, at least during the last couple of months, been like essentially the receivers of everything. Okay. Torpedo DDs punish battleships, HE spammers punish battleships. Carriers now are moving away from DDs and into battleships, and they are now pushing battleships. So having submarines being able to deal with more things than just battleships, it is also kind of a nice thing. I don't really know how it's gonna be the mechanics versus destroyers, and I know it feels like I'm babysitting destroyers, but we have seen a lot of times in the game that any major changes usually ends up hitting destroyers. That is because of the really fragile nature of destroyers. Carriers fuck them, radar absolutely obliterate them, hydro make them less effective, and I'm pretty sure detection, the intrinsical really low detection of submarines is probably gonna mess up destroyers somehow. I know sometimes people talk these kind of things and feel like they pander too much to destroyers, but destroyers is one of the most complicated and fragile classes on the game, so it will be really, really important to keep this in mind. Let's see how the submarine DD interaction is, since most interactions with DD seems to be really, really toxic for the DDs. So I think that is pretty good. I'm really liking those changes. Some things will have to still be tinker with. Let me keep reading. Let's finish this one. Hydrophone. Surface ships receive new ways of influencing subs actions thanks to their limited dive capacity and the fact that it depletes faster when a submarine is detected underwater. Therefore, the hydrophone was removed. Okay, the hydrophone was the thing where you will be able to see that, like the bits of where it used to be. I don't really remember what hydrophone was. I'm sorry, chat. There we go. Other upgrades, consumables, and commander skills were added for submarines. You will be able to check them out in the test client, and there will be a free skill reset for all commanders with the addition of submarines to the main server. Okay, hear me out. Submarines are coming in October. October, November. Submarines are coming in October. This is the last kind of piece of the puzzle. They said a couple of things, like, oh yeah, subs are coming this year. It fills the slot after Dutch cruisers, and also, really important, and also, they said back a couple of months ago they will be giving a free skill reset during autumn, kindish, or late autumn, start of winter. So that means it kind of goes hand in hand with the submarines reset skill. I don't think they will give two. So yep, submarines are coming this year. Submarines are coming on October, November. So keep that date in mind, and it's happening, boys. I'm sorry, it's happening. Some skills for the Swedish cruisers and battleships will have additional effects to counteract submarines. Pretty nice. Sub-secondary guns will fire sap shells. Okay. I mean, they gotta pen something. That's really silly. I cannot wait to see the Werabus trying to get secondary spec submarines. That is gonna be hilarious. Rip Friesland and also hi New Friesland. Royden, how you doing today? Added an underwater environment for most of the maps, including seabed relief and the underwater ports of Iceland. This innovation will help submarines navigate the battlefield while submerged. A lot of bugs were fixed, the client stability was improved, effects were updated, and many other technical improvements were made. Please note that all information in the development blog is preliminary, you know, blah, 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 blah. So what does this mean? This means we're getting submarines on later down this year. By later down this year, I literally mean on a couple of months. More than a couple of months.